Stay tuned for another exciting edition of Simply Your World. Thank you and welcome to my channel, Simply Your World, where we discuss past and present events that will affect you if they haven't already. If at any point you find this video interesting, please hit the like and subscribe button. I would highly appreciate that. If you've been here, if this is your first time to my channel, I want to say thank you. If you've been here before, you know I do not like to speak too long before we actually get into the content. So with that being said, I want to let you all know this video is about three things: the ingredients of a controversy, a power grab with brute force, and an example of the phrase by conquest or consent. Okay? Because I truly believe that we've been lied to, we're being lied to, and everyone's going to form their own opinions, which is going to be the start of the controversy, the start of the cover-up, which is, I believe, is a good, with everybody believing their own thing, is a good cover-up for the cover-up, or the beginning of, or the ushering in of a new phase or way of life or phase to our lives. Okay? Like I said, I believe we've been lied to. I'm going to show you a few conflicting stories, and then I'm going to allow you to form your own opinion, okay? So with all that being said, let's get into it.
Nor, for that matter, have they explained why they lied about the most basic facts of the shooting. For the first 24 hours, they told us that a school resource officer fired at the gunman. He, quote, engaged Ramos. But they must have known at the time they said it that that was not true. They must know the resource officer was not even at the school when Ramos arrived. But they told us otherwise. Why'd they do that? And by the way, how long was Ramos outside the school firing his gun at people at a nearby funeral home before he went inside and killed children? That seems like a fairly simple question, and certainly an important question. Last week, authorities told us that Ramos was outside the school for 10 to 12 minutes. Here's the claim.
We got a crash and a man with a gun. And then you have responding officers. That's what it is. If it's 12 minutes, from 11:30 to 11:40, that's the information we have.
12 minutes from 11:30 to 11:40. That's the information we have. Quote, but that information is clearly wrong, because 11:30 to 11:40 is not 10 minutes. The timeline matters. So what's the real timeline? Well, on Friday, the director of Texas DPS came up with a brand new timeline. Here it is.
11:28. The suspect vehicle crashes into the ditch, as previously described. The teacher runs to the room 132 to retrieve a phone, and that same teacher walks back to the exit door, and door remains propped open. At 11:33, the suspect begins shooting into room 111 or 112. It's not possible to determine from the video angle that we have at this point in time.
Now, this is exactly what I mean by the ingredients of a controversy. If you're going to have a controversy, amongst other things, you have to have a conflicting timeline. You have to have a story, conflicting stories, and you have to have a solid event that everyone agrees happened. But there has to be different perspectives of that story to start the controversy that you're looking for, to start the cover-up, or like I said, the ushering in, like we're going to get into, the ushering in of a new phase of your life as you know it. All right? My question would be is this: how do you have videotapes, you have audio tapes, but yet everyone has a different story? I'm going to show you about 3 or 4 more different examples of the same event, but everyone says that, or going to show you how few people are saying other things happened. This is just like if you watch movies, The Manchurian Candidate. This is exactly what we're seeing. It's almost like The Manchurian Candidate, a scene from that movie that we're all experiencing or all living, you know. But let's get back into it.
So actually, and that was the director of public safety in Texas, it was only 5 minutes that Ramos was outside shooting at people. Okay. But here's the key takeaway from that statement. Here's what they want you to believe. The back door to the school was open, because a teacher at the school left it open after going outside to retrieve a phone. So it's the teacher's fault that Ramos was able to get inside. That's what they said on Friday. But this, too, appears to be untrue. The Houston Chronicle is reporting tonight that surveillance footage of the school shows that the teacher slammed the door after running back inside. And, of course, that would make sense, since by this point Ramos was firing his rifle. And that same teacher was using the phone in question to make a panicked call to 911. No one disputes that. So why did the authorities tell us otherwise? And for that matter, why did they initially deny that the on-scene police commander ordered cops to stand down and remain outside as children were being shot to death inside the school? On Thursday, a spokesman for Texas DPS called that account a rumor, quote. But there was videotape to show that it was true. It actually happened. So the next day, forced by the videotape, Texas DPS admitted the rumors were true. Watch.
What happens when the officer maybe try and break through either that door or another door, get inside that classroom?
None at that time.
Why?
The on-scene commander at the time believed that it had transitioned from an active shooter to a barricaded subject. Yeah.
People who are on the line, children who are calling 911 saying, please send the police. They are alive in that classroom. There are lives that are at risk.
Hey, we're well aware of that. Obviously, based upon the information we have, there were children in that classroom that were at risk, and it was, in fact, still an active shooter situation and not a barricaded subject.
You see what I'm saying? I'm just like, oh my goodness. We are being lied to. And like I said, you have the timeline, the story, and the event that everybody knows happened. How do you have one moment saying that we had everyone stand down because we thought that it was this, but not knowing that other people got other information, ask you questions in a chronological way, get you to answer a certain question first, then they bring the real question in to the point where you can't go back on your answer because you just used that answer 2 minutes ago. You see, so now you're forced. Your hand is forced for you to tell the truth and look like a complete asshole on national TV. And now you're lying to people who lost their children. You see what I'm saying? This is what I mean by the ingredients of a controversy. Later on, we're going to get, as we talk about this, we're going to transition over to the power grab with brute force. And this is what we're seeing now. From what I believe we're seeing, due to the other events that are happening a couple of days after this. You see what I'm saying? Now, well, let's just keep going. I don't want to get ahead of myself like I have a tendency to do. Let's keep going, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by a power grab with brute force and the phrase or the example of the phrase by conquest or consent. Let's keep going.
But that's not really an explanation, of course, because no one disputes that everyone on the scene, including police, knew that Ramos had weapons, was firing them at people to kill people, and was inside the school with children. No one disputes that. So why did heavily armed police units decide not to stop Salvador Ramos from executing children? Now, it's not finger-pointing to ask that question. These are very complicated circumstances. People are under immense pressure. People make mistakes. But we are making long-term policy decisions based on the specifics of what happened last week in Uvalde. Politicians across this country are calling for militarizing America's elementary schools. And yet they can't answer why the military force effectively outside this elementary school refused to stop the killing.
Okay. I know a lot of times my opinion is not the most popular opinion. And I totally understand that. I'm comfortable with that. And I know that's just the way it is. Okay. But if you, for one, lie, and we all know lying, if you don't know, when you lie, It is called a defense. You only lying is only a defense. Okay? Unless you are an habitual liar and you just lying for no godly reason, you have an issue. But if you've done, just imagine when you were a kid, who broke my vase? Who did this as a kid? What's the first thing? Not me, not me, not me. But you know for a damn fact that you sit there and broke that vase and you about to get your ass whooped, or you lying because you don't want your ass whooped, right? So if we bring that all the way up into today and what we're looking at, if you're lying about one thing and then you turn around and say, somebody asks you a question about why didn't you send anyone in? Well, we thought it was a barricaded subject. And then we find out it wasn't a barricaded subject. You like, so bro, why was you lying then? Like, what was the reason you lying then? Most people, if somebody done took your dough, somebody took your money, and they find out you lied, next thing you about to do is get stolen. I mean, I would think that'd be the next. Once you get caught in that lie, and you know niggas sitting down, man, I ain't doing it. You getting stolen, standing up, whatever you doing. Once we catch you in that lie, you getting rocked, and it's on and cracking at that point. So why come it's not happening here? Because my thing is this. We all know the president has control of the military. The police are a faction of the military. We understand that in wars, kids get killed as casualties of war all the time. Okay? This is what I believe we're seeing. We've seen a sacrifice in real time just to usher in the gun control laws. You see what I mean? Because the sitting president right now, his approval rating is shit. We both know that. I mean, we all know that. All right. So he has to do something, and we all know that drastic time calls for what? Drastic measures. Exactly. You see? So he didn't. I truly believe that my own theory that he has went and called for a slaughter of these children because the military or the police have been calling the lie. So they're lying about something. So since they're lying, I'm forced to add my own theory into what really happened because it's obviously a lie somewhere. All right. So I'm going to pause this video and I'm going to get over to this next video. But first I want to show you this. This guy right here, James Paul Wahlberg, a German-American banker in 1950 said this. The New World Order by Conquest or Consent. On February 17, 1950, James Paul Wahlberg, confidently declared to the United States Senate, "We shall have world government whether or not we like it. The only question is whether world government will be achieved by conquest or consent." All right? The only way they're going to usher in something, especially in America, right? The only way they're going to force a new way of life on the entire United States is if they disarm us, right? Now, we got white boys all up in the hills with guns that probably stretch longer than 71 highway if they put them in the end. You know what I'm saying? Just a few families. They not going for that shit. You got people in the city with guns the same way. They not going for that. It'll be a bloodshed for both sides. It'll be war, it'll be bombs from the air, everything. Then everything will just be ruined. This is not what they want. They want to disarm you. They have a war, but the best war fought or the best war won is a war you don't have to fight. So this is their point. They're paraphrasing that, you know, meaning that if I can take your guns, if I can disarm you, you're the enemy. Like you said, I was watching another Tucker Carlson where he said, you disarm your enemies. You don't disarm your people you love. You don't disarm the people you're trying to protect. When there's something going on, you want them to have as much protection as possible. But if you're the enemy, then we have to disarm you. You know what I mean? So, and just with that thought process, I'm going to take you over to this right here. Let's go back a little bit. I'm going to start this video here. Check this out, y'all.
Tonight, this is a Fox News alert. Facing almost certain defeat for his party in the midterm elections 5 months from now, Joe Biden has become desperate. He's decided to leverage the murder of 19 children in Texas.
Exactly what I just said.
For political advantage. He just spoke at some length from the White House about the need to disarm the population. We're going to spare you all of it. We've taken a few select sound bites that sum up the president's message. Here they are.
Second Amendment, like all other rights, is not absolute. This isn't about taking away anyone's rights. It's about protecting children. It's about protecting families. It's about protecting whole communities.
And see, real quick before I let this play, I always say, in order for them to get their point across, they always leverage their agenda versus your morality. Your agenda, their agenda versus your morality and your principles and your values. But at the same time, obscure the story. But in any event, still achieve the part of the phase that they wanted. Let's keep going.
It's about protecting our freedoms to go to school, to a grocery store, to a church, without being shot and killed. We need to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. And if we can't ban assault weapons, then we should raise the age to purchase them from 18 to 21. Strengthen background checks. Enact safe storage law and red flag laws. Repeal the immunity that protects gun manufacturers from liability. Address the mental health crisis, deepening the trauma of gun violence and as a consequence of that violence. These are rational, common sense measures. And if Congress fails, I believe this time a majority of the American people won't give up either. I believe the majority of you will act.
So,
what if the shooting that we seen in Buffalo and then the shooting we seen in Texas, two totally different ends of the country, are connected, all to bring in one phase or one agenda? What if these people were executed, right? Just to start, or just to usher in, or to bring in the brute force, or the power grab by brute force, which is called gun control. You see what I mean by conquest or consent? They've been trying to get this going for a long time, y'all. They've been trying to pass this for a long time. All right. And everybody's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now they're like, we got to do something. What does everybody agree on? And what is that? The kids. Everybody agrees on the kids, man. Unless you are just a degenerate, I don't care who you are. If you see some kids, you are going to help them. If you see them running on the street naked or whatever, you can even say you don't like little kids or whatever the case is. No matter what color they are. If you see them need your help, you're going to help them out unless you're just an off-breed. You know, but I truly feel those kids were sacrificed just to bring in their agenda. You can agree or disagree with me, but that's my opinion on that. But let's keep going.
So to summarize the president's remarks tonight, your constitutional rights are not absolute, but in taking them away, we're not actually taking away your rights, we're protecting children, to which you might ask, am I a threat to children? That question is never answered by the president. The point of this, of course, is to disarm people who did not vote for Joe Biden, and that is why simultaneous with this effort to recategorize the guns in your closet as felonies, Democrats have been failing to prosecute gun crimes in our cities where most of the crime is. And if you're at all confused about whether the effort here is selective, if this is enforcement only at certain people, you'll notice the president never mentioned the apparent federal gun felony his own son committed when he lied on a federal background form when he bought a handgun. Didn't mention that. Justice Department has completely ignored it. Instead, Biden's fellow Democrats in the House of Representatives spent the day debating ways to disarm you, Americans who've committed no crime at all and want only to protect themselves and their families. Democrats plan to criminalize possession of what they're calling large-capacity ammunition feeding devices. That is, specifically any magazine that can hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition. Well, as it turns out, that is most magazines in the United States. Tens of millions of Americans right now have so-called high-capacity magazines in their homes. They're not militia members, they're not gun nuts, they're normal people. And the reason they have them is because most modern handguns and rifles use that type of magazine, the kind that Joe Biden is telling you is threatening and esoteric. And these same firearms, the ones in your house right now, will not accept the kind of diminished magazines Joe Biden is demanding you use. And that means, in effect, all of those guns will be banned. Which guns specifically? Well, for example, the Glock 19, probably the most popular handgun in the United States. The Glock 19 comes from the manufacturer with a 15-round magazine. Now, the Glock 19 is not an especially scary firearm. It's a workman-like pistol. If you have any interest in guns at all, you probably already own one. But under this bill, the Glock 19 would be banned, illegal, a felony sitting in your bedside table. And so would many other popular firearms in the United States.
Now, see, I carry the Glock 19 myself, just on a daily basis. You know, that the Glock 19 or the Glock 23, whichever one I choose to carry that day, right? And a lot of people I see just at the grocery store, just whatever, you know, got a Glock hanging out their pocket, in their pants, or, you know, in their belt, just whatever the case is. You know, 15 rounds is not a lot of rounds. Now, they're trying to say over 10 rounds is about to be banned. Where do you know where a clip is under 10 rounds, man? So you name one clip that you know that you carry, or that you know people carry outside of a little 22 or a little 380 or something like that has under or a little Derringer that has under 10 rounds, man. So basically they write it in a way to tell you that all guns are banned. You know, I have another gun called a Typhoon. It comes with a 3.5, 50. I think a 3.5 or 15 round clip, or 20 round clip. It's a 12 gauge, right? Just for home protection. Who's going to carry that around all day long? This big long ass rifle all day. You see that they know people are not going to do that. So basically, they're just telling you they're going to take everybody's gun in order to. It has to be a reason. You know, it has to be. And like I said earlier, by conquest or consent, to usher in a new way of life or a new way of being, which a lot of people are not going to accept, which is going to cause pistol play. And that's the last thing they want, because they don't want to fight a war right here on their own grounds. Because that's going to be right on their front doorstep. People going to be all over the White House like bugs, man, like ants on sugar. I mean, they're going to be all over the White House, which is going to cause bombs to be dropped and all. And then on top of that, if the other countries see that there's turmoil on American soil, here they come with their jets. That some people don't think about. You know, now they got to aim, they got to fight on the water too, because now here come everybody. Here's our chance. We can destroy America. You know, that's the way it'll be. So that's the more the reason why they don't want a certain war on American soil. You know, I can make this video much longer. I mean, much longer. So many more things that I can get into. But I just want to let you all know that my opinion on that Uvalde shooting and the Buffalo shooting, amongst others, that we probably don't speak about too much, or that I didn't, some that I think of that I really think were involved, but I just didn't add to this video. But I just brought these two because they're on everybody's mind. The Buffalo shooting and this and the Uvalde shooting are seemingly disconnected, but I truly feel they're connected in more ways than one, in order to be the conduit to usher in a new phase to our lives. And with all that being said, you all have a good night.